Hey guys, and welcome back to part 2. In this part of the tutorial we are going to build a front end for the generator. We are also going to introduce a little Python script to make it possible to add much better text to the thumbnails. In the previous part you learned how to set up everything, define tools, run the script, etc. And now it's time to kick it up a notch. So the prerequisites for this part is that you need to have finished part 1, you need Python 3 on your computer and a TTF font. And you can download one for free from Google. So the first step today is to modify this script a little bit, because I don't want to create a new folder and similar, because now I just want to show things in the front end. So first I can just remove this MK there, and I also remove the tool from down here, because we do not need it anymore. I also want to have one more arguments, so args, thumb, and sorry, not thumb, but theme. And I want to make it possible to apply a overall theme that should be the characteristics of the thumbnail, for example, happy, sad, dark, cartoon, etc. So an overall characteristic description of the thumbnail. This can just be like it is. Do the following steps in ascending order. 1. Come up with an appropriate title for the video based on the script. Yes. We do not need to create a folder anymore, so we can just remove that step. Next, I want to call the thumb generator to illustrate the script, or illustrate it. So we just call this thumb generator. Next, download the illustration to a file and we can just call it thumb.png, so we just store it in the folder this script is in. You can also change this down here a little bit, so we can move down or copy down this argument. And then we want to do this in the following steps, in the following order. Come up with a background color to represent the script. That can just be like it is. The color should be used as the background of the thumbnail. Yes, good. 2. Do not include any text in the thumbnail, because we do not want to use OpenAI to do this, because usually AI is not very good at this. Number 3, think of a good prompt to generate an image to represent the script. Make sure to include the title. No, we do not want to do that anymore. So let's remove this line. The thumbnail should be 1792x1024 and only return the URL of the illustration. Yes, that is good. You can remove this and just call it background color, because it should understand that it's the same color as up here. And then we need to tell the script to use the theme as well to represent the script, and use the theme as an overall feel of the thumbnail. Save. So that should be the whole script for now. We can try it out and see if it works. So just go back to your command line and say GPTScript, the name, which is YouTube generator.gpt. The theme can be cartoon, and script can be, hey, learn how to build a for example crossbow game using Coco's 2D, and hit enter. So then we can just wait and see what we get here. First you can see that it understands what we want to build. Waiting for the image generation, cartoon crossbow game, concept art with vibrant colors. Great, so now it's just cloning down the DALL-E image generation. So we can use that to generate an image. Storing in the cache, yada yada. Now you can see here it's calling the CDN or whatever you want to call it for DALL-E, and it's now downloading this, and hopefully it will be stored in the thumb.png file. Great, so the illustration has been downloaded to a file called temp.png. So if I go back to the project here now, just preview, you can see here, this looks like a cartoon game. You can see the crossbow here, and it looks like a thumbnail or an illustration for a game tutorial. Awesome. Before we start diving into the script for adding text, I want to add the front end for this project. And the front end will be a Flask app. So Flask is a framework based on Python for building web apps. It's very easy to get started with. And if you are still new to Python, you should be able to understand most of this. So if I just go to Visual Studio Code, I want to create a new file here called requirements.txt because you need to install Flask. So into this we can add Flask equals 201, which is the newest version of Flask right now, or at least the version I'm using. So if you use this, you will make sure, or you will have the same code as me. You also need a Python library called Pillow. The version of this is 10.3.0, and one last called Werkzeug. I think it's German for tools or similar. 2.2.2, and Werkzeug is a library for handling URLs and endpoints in Flask. It's important that you use this version because there is a newer version on the market, but there is some issues with that, so just use 2.2.2 for now. And now to install everything and make sure that things are running, we can say pip install -r requirements.txt. Okay. I do not have pip installed on my Mac, so you can install it here if you want to do that, or you can create a virtual environment and install it inside there. And to create a virtual environment, you just say python 3-m venv to create an environment, and venv, and env, which is just short for environment. Great, so now that I have it, I can activate it by saying source env bin activate, and then I can run the pip install command again to install Flask, Pillow, and Werkzeug. You also see that here I get some other dependencies that Flask has to run, but yes, this is everything for now. Next we can start with the template for the front page. So inside here we can create one more folder called templates, and inside there one template called index.html. So what this is just supposed to be a simple Tailwind CSS project. So just go to Google and search for Tailwind CSS, open up the documentation, docs, and the play CDN is what I'm going to use for now. So you can just copy this starter here and paste it to fix the indentation. Indent and remove everything in the body. Indent like that. I can set the background color for the whole project, or the background for the website, to be BG Slate 600, and in here I want the simple navigation bar at the top. So nav class py-8 px12 and BG Slate 900. This is an even darker grayish color. Here I just want a link to the front page, so just say href/, set the class to be text-2xl and text white, and then GPT thumbnail generator. So this is not very complicated, but hopefully it will work as the front end for the project. Below the menu I want the main, so add the same class as py8 and px12 so they have the same padding out on the sides. In here I want the form where we can fill in the script and also select a theme from a drop-down list. So add the form, set the method to be post so that we can actually post to the backend. Action can go to /generate, and we need some classes here, space-y6, so I have some space between each of the elements in here. First we can begin with the div for the script and then add the label, set the class to be text lg, text white, script, and this should have a text area as well. So text area, name, script, and we use the name so it's easy to get in the backend. Set ID to be script and class py6 and px-4. You can also have a background color, so bg slate 500, and set the text to be white. We'll see how that looks. Below here we can add one more div and then a label. Let's just copy this. This should be theme. And then we have a drop down list, so select, name, theme, ID, theme, and set the class to w-full so it fills out the whole screen. Maybe you should have that on this as well. py6 and px4, and we can also just copy this, and hopefully that looks okay, at least for this project. Next we can add a couple of values here, so option value happy. We can set the default to be selected, happy, so that's a happy theme. Add one more for sad, this should not be selected, sad. Copy and paste and say, for example, dark. We can have cartoon. You can add as many as you want here, but this should be enough for this tutorial. And then a button at the bottom, button ID generate, and set the class to be py-4 px8 bg sky 600 text white. Submit. Save. So it's not very much to brag about when it comes to the design, but it should hopefully be enough. Before we start working more on the Python part, we can create one more template for the result. So we can copy everything in here, create a new file, paste it, and save it as result.html. So now we have both of these in the templates folder. I do not want the form here, but we will still have the menu and the main. In here I want the title, so h1 class mb-12 text 3xl text white. Title should just be result. Below here I want one subtitle with the class of mb2 text 2xl and also text white, and this can be YouTube title, so this would now be the suggestion for the title. Add an h3 below here where we will show the title inside, mb-6 text xl and text white. It will be more fun to follow this as soon as we can start showing things, and that will not be very much longer now. In here we can show the title in curly braces to print a variable on the screen. Next we can copy this subtitle here, and instead of saying YouTube title we say YouTube thumbnail, and this can show the image, so img src ./thumb.png and save. So now we have two templates that we're going to use. Next, let's create a file to make Flask present this HTML template we just created. So in the root here we create a new file called app.py, and then we can begin by importing a few things. So import subprocess. This is a Python thing for running scripts, for example the GPTScript or other commands in your OS. Import OS, and then we can import Flask. So from Flask import Flask, and we need to import something called request and also render template. We can also import everything we need from Pillow, so from pil with capital letters. This is the original name of that package, but I changed to Pillow. import image, image draw, and image font. Next, we can import one more thing from text wrap, import wrap. This is also built into Python, which is used to count letters in a sentence, so we can split it at a good place. Then we can set up the Flask app by saying app equals Flask, pass in name, which is sort of a Python object. Below here we set up the route to the front page, so at app.route slash methods. This should be a list, and the only method that should be allowed to use the front page is get. Then we set up a function def index, doesn't take any arguments, return render template. So then we use the function we imported there and pass in index.html. And Flask will then find this folder called templates automatically and look for this file inside there and find that one. And then we need to add one more thing before we can run this, and that is if name equals main, then we say app.run debug equals false. So this is just to make it possible to run this from the command line. If we go to the command line again, we can say python 3 app.py. I can see here Flask started as a development server, and I can copy this address and go to Chrome and open the address here, and we will be presented with the front page for the GPT thumbnail generator. Here we can fill in the script and we can select which theme we want to generate this for. Click submit to do it. We haven't created that page yet, so that will be the next step. But before we go to that step, I just want to set up two variables below here. I want to set up where the base directory for the Flask app is, and that is os.path.their-name. Pass in os.path.ab as path file. So this is sort of the base there will then be the parent for this app.py. And we can also define in a constant where this script is located. So script path equals os.path.join, and then we make a connection between base there and the YouTube generator.gpt. So everything there is now fixed. Next, I want to set up a little bit of a complicated function for calculating the height and the Y position of the text, so where it should be placed in the picture. You can have this at the top, since this is a function and not a route. So let's add some comments so it's easier to separate this. Then we can say def get Y and heights. Pass in something called text wrapped, so it's already wrapped when it's coming here. Dimensions, and the margins we want to use, and the font we want to generate this with. Then we define two variables in here, ascent and descent equals font.get. Font.get metrics. And then we set up the line heights, so we know the heights of each of the lines. So line underscore heights equals, create a list, pass in font.get mask, so then we need to use the font to know the size of this, what it's generated in. Get b box, so this is bounding box, and we want to get the third element in this list, plus descent plus margin. And then below here we say for text line in text wrapped. So for each of the lines that we pass in, we run this command to get the size of the line. Then we say line heights -1 to get the one on the last position, minus equals margin. Height text equals sum line heights, and Y equals dimensions 1 minus height text, like that. Next we return these two values, so return y and line heights. So now we have a function for calculating this. I want to have one more helper function called getTitle, so def getTitle. In here I say title file equals open./title.txt. Yes, that reminds me I need to do a little change to the YouTube generator script because I want to save the title in a file called title.txt. Open this with the read argument and we read everything in here. So title equals title file.read. So we just get the whole content. Title file.close. Now we can return title. Before we continue, we can go back to here and up here we come up with the appropriate verb. Store the title in a file called \title.txt. So hopefully that should work now. So you just store everything there. The last thing I want to do here now is to add one more route for the thumb. So at app.route/thumb.png, and I need to do this because Flask is not very good at handling static files, etc. So you just need to have a function here for showing this file to the front end. So the app route, if the route is this one, then we use this function. So def thumb_png return send_file. This is probably not imported, but it comes up here from Flask. So send file, then we want to show thumb.png, set the MIME type to be image/png, just so that we know that it is working. Sorry, this is know that this is the image we are returning. So we can stop and start this again now. Go back here, refresh, it looks okay. If I copy and open up thumb.png, then I see the image we generated before, because this image here is in the same folder as the app.py. The image will be updated each time we run the generate command. Next step, and almost the last step before we can start using this, is to create the route for the generator. You can have that at the bottom here, at app.route/generate. And here I want to set up the methods. Oops. The methods should be allowed, and that should only be post. You should not be able to go to this and visit it in the browser. Def generate, and then I want to get the script and the theme from the form. And to do that, I say script equals request.form.get script. Make a copy of this, rename to theme and theme. And then I want to use the subprocess function that we imported there. Subprocess .popen, and we want to run with, remember to add f here to format this text, GPTScript and script path. So now we just pass in this path to this file, and we want to append a theme here at the end. Oops. Pass in theme, which comes from the form, and --script, which is not the GPT script, but the script for the video. Script. When that is done, I want to use Python to add the font and similar to the picture, but let's do a test now and see if it is working. When this is done, we can say return redirect, and I want to redirect us to the result page. And before we test this, we can set up the route for that. If we just do that very quickly, result, and result.html. Let's test this before we start working with Python for adding text. Hello, let's create a awesome car game. And it can be said. not found. Okay, the reason for that is you need to restart or stop and start the server. Internal server error, I've done something wrong. Users acorn, GPT, YouTube generator. No such directory. Okay, I will come back to this very soon. We can finish the Python functionality so everything will work when it first starts working. So next step then will be to load the font. Font equals image font, which is a function from pillow.trueType. And I want to use a font called lato-regular.ttf. The size for this can be 100, so it's very large in the image. Img equals image.open thumb.png, and then we open up a draw interface so we can actually interact with image. Draw interface equals image draw.draw. Open up the image there and set the mode to be RGBA, so we have the alpha channel as well. Then we can get title from the txt file, so title equals get title, so we just use this function which returns everything in the text file. Now we say text lines equals wrap, so then we wrap this title for each 25 characters. And then I want to use get the y and the line heights values by using the get y and heights function. Here we can pass in the text lines. We pass in each of the lines separately. Set the image width and height based on the image width and height. So just img.width and img.height. So these are variables stored when we load an image like this. Set the line height for the text, which can be 30, and which font we want to use. Next, we need to set up the Y start, so where should you start drawing on the picture. And I want this to be img.height divided by 2 minus y divided by 2 minus 100. So it's on the center of the screen, minus half the width of the height of the text, minus 100, so we have some padding in there as well. And then x start is img.width divided by 2, so we can just start on the middle of the screen. Then we set up a shape, which we want to draw a darkish box behind the text. So shape equals set up a list with a tuple inside, x start minus 700, so we start on the middle of the screen minus 700 pixels, and in the y direction we want to draw in y start, and then a tuple for where we want to stop this shape, which is x start plus 700, which means that the box will be 1400 pixels long, and then the height here should be y start plus, for example, half the image height or whatever you want to add here, 400, and see how that works. And then we use the draw interface from up here to draw this shape. .rectangle shape, and we pass in which filling we want to use. So fill should be 000, which is black, and 150, which is the alpha channel, so it's a little bit opacity on this. Next I want to draw each line of the text, so for I and line, so we have the index as well, in enumerate text lines. And for each of this I want to get the width of the line width equals font.get mask, pass in line.get box, bbox, bounding box again, and now I want to get value number 2. And then I want to get the x position where to draw this, which is img.width minus line width, like that. And then we draw it by saying draw interface dot text, pass in x and y, set the line to draw, set the font we want to use, font, and the fill can be white, so it's white text. And then we increment the y value plus equals line height for this one, for the index we are on. Last but not least, we just resave this as temp.png. So img.save temp.png and save. So if we now run this, it will still give us this error, which I'm not sure why we get, but let's just try to write something random, submit, and then we get this again. So why do I see this error? Okay, so I am just missing a few things on this command. So here we will run this. I need to add and tell that this is a shell script, set the standard out to just pipe it in here, and then we read the contents here. So I think that now it should work. So save this, stop and start again, go back here, then we can change this here. Hey guys, learn how to build a cool car game with mini cars. Submit. And now we can see that this is running. If I go here, very little will happen because everything just happens in the background with the GPTScript. So if we now just go back here and wait, hopefully we should see a very cool thumbnail and a title. Maybe if I go to the Finder, we can see that we now have a file called title.txt, how to build a cool car game with mini cars. Nice, which means that that was working. So now we just need to wait for the thumbnail. Okay, there we got a new error. Redirect is not defined. Darn. Okay. This should go at the top together with Flask, so just add redirect there as one more thing to import. The generation is finished now, so I can probably just go to result. And okay, there is something wrong here. How to build a cool car game with mini cars. So things did not work out good. This is the box, which is placed very weird. So it started at y start. Let's change that a little bit and say that it should go from the center and down 350 pixels. And same with the start, can also probably just be on the center minus 350 pixels, like that. So then we can save that one, and then it's just the placement of the text, which was also not good. So the text should be on the center of the screen, so there is something wrong with the calculations somewhere. Let me go quickly over this. Okay, so in here, //2, so it's divided. Maybe that is enough. No, I think I did that dividing error also up here where we set this again. So //2. So let's try one more time. Go back to the generator. Hey guys, learn how to build an airplane game, and we can set this to be dark and submit. Now we wait again. Oh, I guess the title has changed. How to build an airplane game tutorial. Nice. So then we just need to wait for the temp. Okay, so we got a new error. Redirect is not, sorry, I forgot to stop and start. So now that's done, just refresh. Click continue, then it will just start generating again. Okay, so now the placement of this box was perfect, the placement of the text is perfect, and you can see here it's a game tutorial with an airplane. Perfect. So the title is not showing there yet, You can get this by just going to result and then pass the variable in here. So it's in title equals get title. So we just use the function again to read the text file. Stop, start, go back and refresh. And now we get the title there as well. Perfect. And that was it with this tutorial. I hope you now have a better understanding of how things with GPTScript work. You should now also know a little bit on how to build a front end for it and similar. A few suggestions for further improvements can be that when you have a result, you can click regenerate and modify the text and similar. You can add more themes, and a very cool thing you can implement is, for example, storing the titles and images in the database so that you don't override them every time.